Right, welcome everybody to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, and my co-host and very good friend is Dave.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. We are covering Married at First Sight Australia, Season 12, episodes 29 through to 32. Now, Chris, where would you like to start today?
Well, Dave, let's start with Elliot again. Again. Yay! Let's start again, Dave. Elliot and Veronica, I think, were the main things at the commitment ceremony. So Veronica started off the week, as she left last week, an absolute arse, complete bell end. And just to dispel the myth, Dave, that we do stick up for a lot of the ladies, which I understand there's been a comment on YouTube, which I'm totally fine with. That's all your opinion, no problem. We just call out bad behaviour. And unfortunately, most of the guys have been bellends. You know, we called out Lauren when she started, didn't we? Originally thought it was Elliot. And this last week, this situation with Paul, I'm standing by that comment because that's really what it was aimed at. We were sticking up for the ladies. We call out bad behaviour. And at the end of the day, Veronica's been a bellend. So let's start there, Dave, just to even it out. So not a good person. Elliot has had this redemption arc, which is unbelievable. I'm not saying he's completely innocent, but the last few weeks, there's nothing he's done wrong. And Veronica, I think something's happened with Dave, or it's turned she's already said that Dave, she wished Dave was the guy she got with. It was alluded to that they had a little bit when they were in the stay together, you know, the couple swap. And then she left how she's been the last few weeks. Even when the experts called her out, she still was having none of it. And Elliot got John even saying, "Oh, great, you want to turn around. We're so pleased you're Elliot." But ultimately, you failed twice. So I think I was glad to see the back of her more than anything because she was a complete dick, I thought, in this first episode of the week.
Yeah, she was definitely a strong contender for Bell End of the Week, even though she was only in one episode. But the thing about Paul last week, I mean, some of his behavior is just really quite toxic and very gaslighting, you know, trying to convince the other person that black is white, white is black, you know, just really trying to make them think like they're crazy. And Veronica's up there with, you know, I think she's surpassed what Paul did last week in terms of that gaslighting piece. It was bizarre to see because even, you know, when the experts are calling it out, she's still doubling down and just, you can see the disdain in her, you know, when Elliot says anything. And I think, to be honest, no one really had Elliot's back when he walked in. Everyone thought he was the villain in the group, I mean. And then by the end of it, everyone's sort of sticking up for him. So it says a lot. And they were saying about him playing games, and she's like, "Well, you've never offered to play games with me." And he's saying, "Of course I do, all the time." And everyone's saying, "Yeah, he plays chess, he plays Connect 4. And I think he sounds like a little bit nerdy almost. And I kind of think, yeah, he's had the best redemption arc of anyone I've ever seen in MAFS, where we all thought he was this one-dimensional, self-centered character. But then the two people who he's been paired with, Lauren and Veronica, are both absolutely horrid people. So he's kind of come out looking pretty good. It didn't work out for him in terms of the pairings, but I think definitely, I imagine he'll do pretty well out of this season.
Yeah, I'm with you. I did like it. I did like the fact that Veronica got called out because she even did the old "Don't shout at me again, don't raise your voice at me again." That, you know,
Yeah.
not that dialogue, but you know that sort of stance where like Elliot's like, "I don't know what's going on," and like we said last week when he said the Oscar goes to, still one of the best lines of the season because it just caught her dead. It just caught her dead because the cameras are there. And she really wants to tell him to go and do one, and she's like, fuck, right, I'm going, you know. So I think she was exposed for what she was, and I'm so glad they both said leave because I honestly thought she was going to say stay, and she didn't, and it was the right decision. It's beyond repair, and I think even the experts steer him towards that, you know, and they're saying like, you know, it's not going anywhere. So no, I'm glad that she's gone, definitely. Whereas I think Elliot, you know, yeah, fair play at the end. He was a slightly different person. He got a bit more, well, whether he is or not, he got a kinder edit anyway. Veronica came across
Yeah.
really badly. So, but anyway, Dave, she wasn't the worst for me this week. There was other people. Good old Big Dave, not Little Dave, Big Dave. Um, he's not well. Actually, he's not been using Little Dave by the sounds of it. The intimacy, the whole nonsense situation that he's going to turn it round this week. You know, after everything that's gone on, like I say, Jamie does sort of overpower him sometimes when she's trying to get a point across when she knows she's right. She did nothing wrong, I didn't think, this week. I felt like he's just lying, and low key, he's another one who's just in it for the show, for the fame, because I think he exposed it this week. You can't just turn that round now and go, I'm going to make an effort. I think the main thing was once she said she loved him, as I said last week, he bottled it and he was like, oh shit, I thought this was a holiday. I thought this was an 18 to 30s fucking jolly up free holiday. We go around the world. We get, we can have a bit of a fun boy. We can have a bit of excitement, pure holiday romance. And as soon as Jamie said she loved him, his arse fell out, and he's like, "Shit, you've not read the script, Jamie. This is about us getting more Instagram followers." So I think that's how I've seen it this week. And he just has such a look of disdain towards it. It's pretty horrid, really. He's trying to convince us all, and then he goes from like this to, oh yeah, yeah, and you can see it's just an act. And even when he's with her, he really looks at her. He looks down at her as if I mean, he's looking down at everyone. He's fucking huge, but he looks down at her like with real disdain. So there's nothing there between him, and it's purely the showmans that he's gone for. And I just think again, and he isn't the only one this week. I think a few people have been exposed for actually realizing that they don't want to be with these people for the remainder of the show. But as well as the partners sort of like all in, they think there's a relationship out of him. So I think it's scared a few of the contestants, no more than Dave, because he's done a full 180 for me. I don't even recognize the same person we saw the first few weeks.
It was weird, wasn't it, where he had a complete personality transplant. And I just wonder, how much are we not seeing in the edit? Because I'm still troubled last week by that comment that he made when the producers asked him about how he felt about Jamie, presumably thinking, are you not quite there? Or are you on your way to being in love? Or is it just more of a friendship kind of thing? And he said, I don't hate the girl. And I'm like, that is a weird response to say, how do you get from over here with having really strong feelings to, no, you might think that I hate her, but I actually don't hate her. I think that's just really, really strange. But he did seem very, very different. And it's almost like his eyelids, dropped halfway down. He's got that disinterested, like, I just don't want to be here. I have to grin and bear it for a little while, but, I just can't be arsed playing anymore. And so it makes it look like this has all been an act, and then he's just run out of energy, and, that's it. He can't keep it up anymore, so to speak. So
Can't we all, Dave, as we get
yeah.
older?
So I do think that he made a shocking attempt, in the first day. He just seemed to be completely unconvincing. He said he was going to put the effort in, but we saw absolutely nothing resembling that. And then as the week went on, he kind of softened a bit. It's my cat making a little appearance there. It's
For the
getting
second
close
time.
to tea time, yeah. And so-
Continuity, Dave.
I know.
Brilliant.
He knows. He knows. I'm sure it was about this time when I was going on about Big Dave too. But so yeah, it's just very weird. And then he seemed to come around and make a little bit more of an effort. He at least bought her some flowers and stuff. But then when it got to the homestays, this whole thing was about homestays week, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
I think when they got to meet Jamie's sister, she just didn't. She didn't hold any punches back, did she? And I thought that was interesting as well, where her sister's like, "Oh, I can't see you do this again," where you're putting in all the effort and the other person isn't really. And so I think Jamie's been on an interesting journey this week where she's gone from being utterly confused about, does she know this person who she's developed these feelings for because he seems to have completely changed, to, oh, actually, maybe this is a pattern for me as well.
Yeah, and to be fair, that was the line that got me. I was thinking, like, are you one of them people where as soon as you get with someone, you just all in? We've all been there. I know there's a friend of mine who commits day. He literally would have a couple of phone conversations years gone by, a quick meet up. He's in love. He's looking at selling. He's moving. He's in. Even when we were younger, and we used to say, like, you've only just met the girl. Give it a chance. Says the man here, Dave, who within like the first date and the first month had already proposed to Sam. But there was obviously I'd known her since I was a child, and she did save my life. But so I'm really a bit of a hypocrite myself. But yeah, maybe that's her just in her DNA. She wants to be loved, and Dave give her that attention. Obviously, we know that there's going to be some bullshit because she's going on MAFS. She's not like she's gone on a dating site or she's been unlucky. She's gone on reality TV. So you know what you're signing up for. So there is still that, like, the skepticism to, like, well, we've said it loads of times, like they say about Love Island, I'm here for love. And you're just like,
Yeah.
you're not here for love. So I think I've got that side of it, but I just felt like Dave's whole arc this last 10 days has just been completely fooled all of us. He was the guy who was pointing fingers at everyone, and I say it all the time, but he's pointing fingers at them, but there's usually two back at him because he was lying. The stuff with Veronica was so obvious that something's happened, or they just, if it didn't happen, they enjoyed each other's company more than their own partners. And I think that's maybe that was it, but I'm not convinced at all. And if they stay next week, I'd be fucking amazed. I think we may get a situation where the judges step in. I think there might be another couple who they're going to step in for next week, but there could be two couples next week where they just step in and go, look, do you want to go? I think you need to go, because I'm not convinced at all by that. But we need baddies, Dave, don't we? We need baddies. So, Dave's become an inadvertent baddie in some respects.
Yeah, I don't know. Has there been anyone the judges, the experts have actually got rid of?
Not, yeah,
Yeah, have they got rid of anyone? I
not
can't
this
think.
series. I think the UK they've
Yeah,
done it. I think the UK they've given one of the
there's that
partners.
real gaslighting cult leader bloke, wasn't there, from Grimsby, that I seem to remember.
Oh yes, the tattooed guy.
Yeah, so
Yeah, yeah. He looks
I think
fucking
they sort of stepped in with him, but I don't really look. If you bring in the drama, I think they'll keep you in. Doesn't matter what you've
yes,
done.
yeah, that's true.
That's the criteria. If you're boring and no one cares, then that's maybe when you get booted out. So I don't know. I think Dave will write stay this week, and I think Jamie may do as well. But they're on a trajectory now where I think they're both realizing actually this wasn't what we thought it was. Maybe Dave thought it was a bit of a showmance, and he's quite fine with that. Jamie thought it was more, but I think her sister's words will play on her mind a bit, but I think this commitment ceremony might be a little bit too quick for her, and so she might write stay. But that doubt is already in her mind.
Yeah, and I think ultimately when we get to the main commitment bit, it's got to be a no on it. So that's the way he's going. If they stay that long, but also Dave, one of our favourite couples and the most bonkers couple. What a week this has been for Jackie and Ryan. Like, from the commitment ceremony to this doubling down as a couple, they go in all loved up. Apparently, Dave, they're the blueprint as a couple. Don't know what fucking drugs they've been smoking, them two absolute muppets. But how weird is it that as the week went on, Ryan has acted so strange. He's so like, he's a bit of an extra introvert as well as an extrovert. He's very erratic. But then Jackie just had a whole thing this week where for me, she was the bell end of the week. Like the whole thing at his house. I don't agree with the fact that he leaves his dog outside and gives it a set time when it comes in. The poor dog's looking at the window as if to say, like, can I come in now? Like, I don't think having had a dog for 12 years, unfortunately, I haven't got yours now, but that's not the sort of thing part of your house. You know, like yourself, Dave. They are part of the
Yeah,
family,
yeah.
so you don't do that. But that was a bit strange. But then as soon as she started writing on his board about what she's going to change when she's
Oh
literally
God.
just turned up, he's house proud. Whatever you think, he's very proud of having a house at 30. his job. I mean, the samurai swords and other weapons. It did remind me, Dave, of Billy Rosewood off Beverly Hills Cop 2 when Axel and that go into his house and he's got like a Magnum 44 katana knives like that, all these samurai
Yeah,
swords. It was a bit worrying, and even said I put the swords out in case someone's snooping at the back. And you're thinking, we're getting all Patrick Bateman here, aren't we? We're getting like proper American Psycho
that is grim, isn't it?
vigilante stuff. Yeah, so that wasn't comfortable, but I just think that like Jackie's whole behavior and even the showdown with his friends, I don't agree with them arguing with her the way they did. The voices went higher and higher, and that's not ideal. However, they were right what they were saying. The points were valid. It's just that it came across wrong because she wasn't listening. And then the maniacal Joker laugh that she just randomly does when someone's calling
Yeah.
her out is, and even Ryan said it, and Jeff called her out at the dinner party like you completely lying. No, I wasn't. I was there. They then rolled the VT and showed it. So I know I've waffled a lot, but what a week of just lies, and it just exposes her more than more. As much as I think Ryan's a bit of an head case, she's on another level, like just completely different level, and not aware of what's going on. Even when she was calling him, next minute she's like stroking his hand in his face, and I'm like, it doesn't work like that, Jackie. So, Ryan is out, out for me. And I know I've gone, and we'll talk a bit more. But I mean, what did you think of that, Dave? Because I've sort of summarised the whole week for the matter. But yeah,
Yeah.
really good.
So I think the first thing is completely agree with you. Jackie is the bell end of the week by far. I do think Veronica's gaslighting was, put her in strong contention, even though, like I say, she was only in that one episode. But Jackie, I'm more convinced than ever now. This fake projection that they're trying to put out to everyone, having the whole shrine about all the selfies they take together and all the couples photos. I'm more convinced now that that's mostly Jackie driving that. And then she's sort of prepping Ryan, to come to the dinner parties, come to the commitment ceremonies, tell everyone how great they are. And, it takes a little bit of a prod and a prompt. And then soon, they're both hating on each other, more so her, and she doesn't seem to understand the difference between giving someone, a bit of constructive feedback and just being plain rude and mean. It started off even from her place, where they're lying on the bed and she's talking about shaving his beard. She kept saying like in a proper Kiwi way, and I couldn't work out what she was saying at first. I was like, why would he shave his bed? But no, it was like, shave your beard. So I thought it became this thing where she wasn't just saying it, and then that's it. He disagrees strongly, and so I'm going to drop it. She was really trying to force her will, and then she was saying like, "Oh, don't you want your wife to find you attractive?" As if it's sort of emotional manipulation. So
Yeah.
kind of putting him down so that he feels forced to shave his beard off. But I think just about everything from them went pretty badly this week. I do have to say it was so predictable that whatever Ryan's house was going to be, it wouldn't meet up to Jackie's standards unless it was some kind of mansion. But it did sort of remind me of the 40-year-old virgin house when we went in there with the samurai sword and just the whole makeup of it. And I do think Ryan is a bit nerdy. He's I think naturally he's more of an introvert, and then as he's got into adulthood, he's trying to build his body up to be this, alpha male type. But I don't think he really is. I think he's a bit nerdy inside, and that's absolutely fine. But it's a conflict with how he's trying to get himself across. And when they went to the friends, you're right. The raised voices, unfortunately, you just lose the argument at that point, because I could see why they were getting frustrated, and I was getting frustrated watching this conversation. And again, she's just constantly putting the boot in over Ryan and dressing it up as if it's feedback. Well, no, sometimes you just, like I say, just being plain mean. And they were in the position where they were defending their friend, but then of course she turns on the waterworks. She reports back at the dinner party that it was terrible because all Ryan's friends were doing was just screaming at her in her face, and it's like, okay, all the people hearing this story have to sort of take it at face value, but you can tell the group just don't really believe what Jackie's selling at any point. And it was funny actually when she was saying about, "Oh, I didn't write these things about Ryan." Sorry, it's really putting me off here.
I love it.
I didn't
I
write
love
all these things
it.
about
Wait, it's
Ryan.
the silence to jump on your neck or something like Ross
It
out of
does.
Friends.
It looks like he's eyeing up an attack move. I think
It
it's
is
not.
the summer.
It's nighttime when he does go to attack me. So I think I'm
I've
safe for the moment. But
sent him a text, Dave. I've sent him a text. Get him, Salem. Get him.
it's the switchblade that's making me nervous. So yeah, Jeff was pretty perplexed. He's like, "No, I read the letter, and I wouldn't be here now if I'd have been on the receiving end of that letter." And you can see we're also wondering why Ryan's still there, but he's definitely checked out now, hasn't he? He's eating his last
Yeah.
shit sandwich, and he's gonna write leave. I do think Jackie was surprised, by Ryan's position. I think, well, I'm only giving you feedback. I'm trying to make you better. Wouldn't you like to be great? And I just find that utterly disgusting, to be honest. And so, yeah, definitely deserving a bell end of the week for me.
Oh, total agreement. Total agreement. And then, well, from one bell end to another, Dave, Paul, again, gets the commitment ceremony, gets called out, does the same thing again. He's doing the fake crying. And what I found he does is a bit of a little trick with Karina because she backs him. He's like, I'm not saying he's attacked her, but say you get these situations where you've got domestic violence sort of situation and they go into court and then the partner pulls out of it, like the lady pulls out of it. It's like, oh no, I don't want to press charge. The police are like, oh no, we're having you, because it's like we can see what's going on. She brings to the table at the dinner party what's happened. He's broke her down again. He's just complete bullshit. That snob comment. And then he was laughing at the producers, a bit like Adrian's done a few times with Athena, where he's like looking at the camera as if to say, right, I'm not playing the part now. Don't really give a fuck. Dead nasty.
Yeah.
There was no need to do that. And obviously the situation with Cleo, we talked about, like nobody had even mentioned in the whole 30 episodes that he previously dated Cleo. Well, is that not going to be an issue? You then put them together.
Yeah.
We know why you've put them together. He then calls out Cleo. He calls out Athena, and obviously Karina had said some bad comments about Athena and that, saying I thought you'd go for someone, I thought with Cleo in real, but I thought you'd go for someone with a bit more class. Wrong thing to do. She apologized. It was in the heat of the moment. She was very insecure. And I think, that played into Paul's sort of whole thing, but I don't think he vouched for Athena sort of sticking up for Karina at that point. And when it went to the experts, she sort of like, you're a dick. And what he does is he grabs her hand and like rubs her hand or grabs her leg and rubs her leg for assurance. And she then backs him. He's like
Yeah.
a gaslighting mechanism he's very good at. He has this thing where she then, as we said this, she then feels sorry for him, like with the violent outburst. And it's not going to go well. He meets a family. They're religious. He goes, I'm not religious, but, well, maybe. And I'm thinking, fuck off, mate. You just want to stay over in her bed tonight. It's nothing to do with religion. She's religious. He's not. He's a party animal. His friends, everything. There's just, as this has gone on from a couple who seem so compatible, the red flag really was him ghosting her from the start when they met and saying like, we went on a hiking thing and he just ghosted me and he come up with a load of bullshit excuses. He didn't. He's in it for the show. And I just worry for whoever he gets with outside the show, because that is not just for the show. That is him coercive controlling. Whatever you think, whether we're right or wrong, it doesn't sit well with me. If that was my daughter with him, Dave, he'd be getting a slap on the back of the head, because it's not right. It's not right. And it's quite worrying to watch it. I'm not making him pay out to be some absolute maniac, but in the context of the show, Karina's had a bad go the last few weeks. And it's mainly because of him, the person who should be supporting her. It's okay having an argument with Jamie, and he didn't really support her. He tried to get a word in. Jamie cut him off, but he didn't really back her. And then all this, and he seems to wallow. That's his well. He seems to thrive when she's really down. He seems to be the bit where she needs him, and he loves that. He loves that, like when she's under pressure or she's in crisis, that he can come to her rescue and tell her a load of bullshit. It's how he seems to work, which is bizarre. Even if he's the one making her feel bad, and then he can redeem that. It's a weird angle to see on the show, but they better not stay next week. They've got, I think they will, but another couple who, for me, they've just got to step in and go, nah, enough's enough now. You're gone, son. You know what I mean? But, it's the show we love and watch, Dave. Even though moaning about it, it is the show that I love to watch.
So, and again, we've no idea what he's like outside the show. I was surprised. It sometimes comes up across the bottom, wellness advisor. I'm like, fucking hell. I'm not sure I'd like to, point anyone your way because there are some things that he does which are troubling. And I think, yeah, I don't think he had the worst week this week. I think last week was worse for him. He's not bothered about the religion stuff, but also, what's he going to say? Oh, no, completely disagree with it. I don't think you should be religious. He just went with it. It's like, yeah, I'll give it a go. Your daughter's fit. I fancy her. So let's see how it goes, So
Yeah.
I don't think it's any deeper than that. I think the thing that he didn't get right at the start of the week, which was the commitment ceremony, Karina's obviously said this thing about Athena, or about Cleo, about her not being, I didn't know you'd go for that caliber. But uh, he just didn't understand that was a breach of trust. That was a thing between, man and wife, if you like, behind closed doors. She hadn't just announced it in the middle of a dinner party or something like that. She was venting, she was feeling quite vulnerable. And he was completely oblivious to the fact that why would she, be upset about that? I was just being honest, and I'm sure she feels really much better after that. No, I don't think she does. I think she feels like you've just thrown her under the fucking bus. And what was his point in doing that? I mean, it's not going to make Athena look good. My identical twin, has just been slated by someone who I thought was my friend. So I just don't know. But then when the experts are pressing Karina on, does this make you question the relationship? It's like, yeah, it does. And he's like, ooh, oh, my my mind blown. It's like, why? Why would it be blown? Of course, she should fucking question it. You've known each other for about 6 weeks, and there have been some very questionable things. So yeah, avoiding the bell end of the week this week, but yeah, not a couple. And I think the problem is we're at this point in the season now where it looks like Jeff and Ree are probably the only couple that we care about and we think have got any kind of chance outside this show. And all the other couples, it's just like, well, we know how this story ends. So where are we going to get our kicks from? Where are we going to get the drama from the remaining weeks now?
Well, and it's funny you should say that. I totally agree. I do think Paul is a lot more clever than that. I must admit, I think that was all calculated, the whole thing. Like you said, it's like me and Sam. If you revealed each other's secrets or what you thought about somebody who was wearing something or who'd said something, Dave, if you don't come home as a couple and debrief from a family party or a do that you're at with friends, are you even married or with your partner? Because there's going to be someone piss you off, or someone says something, and you look there's a classic thing like a meme saying, if you don't look at your partner or look at your best friend and go, we'll have a debrief later, you think, oh, I've got
Yeah.
a bit of gossip there. Everyone does that. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
We all do that. You would never do that. I would not do it to Sam. She would not do it to me. Complete.
Mm.
Me and you as well. I mean, Dave, if we revealed everything we said about everyone, we'd probably be cancelled years ago, No, but it's true. Yes, Eddie. Yeah, no, but it's true. And as friends, like you have your conversations, you would never betray trust like that. So it's a strange one. But I do think that who's going to be the person, Dave, and it'd probably be Jackie that wears black at the commitment thing, like we saw in the UK one. You know what I mean? When it
Oh
was
yeah.
ridiculous in
Was that
mourning.
Amy? Was it?
Yeah. Yeah, stormed off, didn't she? In the big,
Yeah.
ah,
I mean, to
pathetic,
be
absolutely
fair,
pathetic.
what was his name? The butler in the
Oh, it
buff
was
guy?
the one who wanted to,
Luke. Luke,
yeah, but
who's
he wanted to
after
terrorise a
terrorizing her butthole.
butthole.
So, yeah, maybe the black was a whole like stop.
Well, hang on. Hold. If Luke's listening, he'll be getting excited, Dave. Now, don't.
But yeah, I don't know. I think yeah, I could definitely see Jackie doing something like that, or coming with a flip chart on why Ryan's an arsehole, doing a whole PowerPoint
Yeah.
presentation or something. Yeah, definitely could see something like that from her.
Yeah, I could. And I think, and then the last couple, Dave, is Adrian and Cleo. And I think, we were talking about Adrian spitting facts, and I said you had seen stuff on social media about him saying like the two main characters who everybody hated, they're the, we're going to get a bit of redemption. They do. But I think the problem is with Adrian is one, he has spoke facts with subtitles, I might add in, because you can never understand him. However, once he's with Athena, his disdain for her is like what Dave's now got for Jamie, is he doesn't want to be with her. He's not interested. And I think the whole thing with Cleo, there's two things going to come out of it in my eyes, Dave. Cleo's either going to start dating Adrian, right? That's why, or we're going to see Cleo on Love Island or a MAFS next season, because she is much more comfortable on camera, seems to be understanding assignment of reality TV more than Athena. And ultimately, he doesn't care about her, does he? So it's again another couple just dragging the feet. We had the start of the week, they were a couple of the year now, apparently, because he's given her a bit of attention. She's in it, Athena, for the clicks now. You would not put up with that. And some of the things he was saying about her family and stuff, I don't agree with. And the baggage, not the baggage, so it's a bad word, that not the baggage, but he knows that she's got a son, and that should be the be all and end all of her world. And I don't really believe that it, it's much of a thing for her. I think it's more the fame at the moment. And yeah, just a nonsense couple, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think Adrian's thrown out enough red flags, and I, in a weird backhanded way, I'll give Adrian some credit. From day one, he's not really shown that he's got any intention of having a part of her son's life. So she's the one with that information and then not doing anything about it. So even for the homestays, they apparently took the decision that Adrian wasn't going to meet her son. Well, hang about. Do you want me to invest in you as a couple? Even though Adrian said from day one, you won't really have a part in his life. And even at this stage in the experiment now, then they're not, he's not going to meet her. So I just I found it harder to sympathize with Athena, because I think Adrian's been, quite toxic at times. He has been spitting the facts, like you say, with the subtitles. But yeah, I'm just not interested in this couple now. Both of them. I definitely think Cleo, I mean, she might be, of course, having a real relationship on the outside with someone, but if not, she'll be on either Married at First Sight or she'll be on something. And there was also Lauren's sister as well, wasn't there? She was a bit kind of reality TV fodder. So, we might have a whole siblings cast next time. So the theme of this season has been, couples or people who've hooked up in the past being reintroduced. And the next one might be, oh, these are all the siblings of people that you've seen before.
Yeah, and you're right, because we got it with the guy with the kickboxer, is it, on the last series, whose brother had been in it a few seasons
Yes.
before and all that,
Yeah, yeah.
so you're probably going to get that, Dave. And also, has Cleo never mentioned to um what's called Karina, or via Athena, what Paul was like? Maybe they just went on some dates. Maybe he wasn't like that. I don't know. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm completely out now. She should just think of herself. The most important person in her life is her son. Forget the
Yeah.
show. This bellend is not going to be the one for you, no matter what you think. He's not. And we know she's just riding it out for the show now, unfortunately. So he don't get away scot free. He's still a dick. But again, he's not the only one, and she isn't. And I think going into sorry, I missed one couple off as I saw you right, and that you're right, Dave. But TJ and Beth, I think Beth was all in. She'd never had a relationship. TJ, again, there's no intimacy like Dave because he's fucking fake. He come in, good guy. They tried to do everything that everyone else wasn't doing, didn't they? We asked him every first couple of weeks, how we got, oh, great, we're great. Oh, with no drama. Brilliant. See you next week, guys, on the commitment ceremony. And then this thing come out about him not even kissing her. And then he's
Uh,
coming out with that bullshit story about, the old, oh, yeah, we could just have sex and sleep with each other, but I want to get to a different level on an
yeah,
emotional level. As soon as you say stuff like that in real life, or especially on reality TV, we see it all the time across whatever show, Love Island, you're talking utter shit. You're not attracted to them. You're not into them. You're just there for the free fucking holiday and free buffet that you're getting. The end. That's it. And I think TJ is seemed like a really nice guy, but as this has gone on this week, I don't think he's been nasty, but it's just revealing that desperado side of it where he's just stringing Beth along. And again, I think Beth, she's a bit like Jamie. They think she's something there, never been in a relationship, meets a family. What was the point? He couldn't answer a family when they were talking to him. So I think he's just come across really badly at the end of the week. And I think because we're so exhausted with all these other deadlecks, he's now gone into the actual same category as all the other people wasting everyone's time on the show, really. As much as it's good TV, but it is, if you're looking at it from a pure love level, you're right. I think Rhea and Jeff are the only ones who are going to win this they're going to win it by default because everyone else
yeah.
is so shit. They seem to be the only two people who've got any morals or any, they still have a nice personality. Whereas, like you said about the sisters and Cleo and everyone, and Jamie's sister, they are just reality TV fodder. They are all playing the game we've seen a million times. So it just feels a bit tired. But yeah, getting back to that TJ, a bit of a bellend, to be honest, Dave, and just revealed himself as a bit of a scammer. So yeah, we
I
love
think
it.
he's still trying to play the nice guy. I can't quite understand why. Like when he's pressed multiple times on, well, do you see anything after this experiment? I don't know why you wouldn't just say, well, it's going okay at the minute. Experiment finishes soon, and after the experiment, we'll see how it goes. You're not committing the rest of your life, but you seem to have a real problem with not doing that. Being suitably vague, and he kept wanting to make it quite clear that he just wasn't feeling it. I do find it weird. Like Beth's 27, never been in a relationship. I can't wrap my head around that. Just what's her criteria of a relationship? I don't know, but he's just clearly TJ. He's been recruited. He'll have been with some talent agency. They'll have said, "Oh, look, we'll be able to get you on MAFS. It'd be good exposure for you, this, that, and the other." And so he's just like, all right, okay, let's go in there for my career.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Beth is probably drinking the Kool-Aid and thinking, oh, he might fancy me here. Um, so yeah, I think maybe he was just trying to ride it out for exposure. I don't think he's been quite as toxic as some of the other
Oh
couples
no.
and some of his behavior, but just his evasiveness, it makes him look pretty bad.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, look, Dave, it's been great TV. Great TV again. Just silly. I might be calling them, but I still love it. I still love the nonsense. I still love like the patheticness of and the desperation of everyone to be on this show to sort of go with it, just to be stupid. We see it every show we do. We sound this. I know it's the same stuff we talk about, but I love it. I love calling him. I love like the fact that we get the drama, we get the fake, the bollocks. Like I try and describe this show to people, and people say, what's it about?" It goes, two grumpy middle-aged men just slating reality TV. And you see some people go, "Oh, that sounds really good." Another go, "Yeah, that's great. That yeah, well, it's
Yeah,
you
yeah.
miserable fuckers talking." But it does get us like that. You get fatigue, don't you? You get franchise fatigue. One of my friends, and Sam's the same. Sam's sort of checked out, really. She's like, "Is anything going on?" She's not been watched last few days. And my friend Tony, I saw yesterday, he's all in, Dave. And Tony will probably be listening to this, but even he's like, "Oh, I've had enough now. Just sick of it. Like nobody wants to stay together, and he listens to us, which is a good thing. So, but it is interesting because I think like the episodes are just too long. I said it again, 2 episodes a week, 1.5 hours, quick summary of what's happened at home. Let's get into the dinner party and the commitment ceremony, the end. And then it'll give it a bit more weight. You know, you can have just 2 episodes a week. We can see it. They fill it out with utter shit, really. There's nothing going on. The setup scenarios just get us to the bits where we see something to give us the drama and also cut down the episodes. We don't need to be on for nearly, if this is 40 episodes, as you've said, that's ridiculous. It's usually 36 at a push with the reunions. If it's 40 episodes,
Yeah.
what the fuck are they doing? That's nonsense. We're going into Love Island territory of like 55 episodes or whatever it is, a series. And it doesn't need to be that. MAFS is its own entity. That's a long old slog. That's not moaning because it's what we do. We do a podcast on it. But I think like if you were just watching it as a fan, it's a massive commitment. That 4 days a week for nearly 8 weeks, whatever it is, that's a hell of a run. That hell of a run.
I mean, don't start coming at me with the 4 days a week when you always push for the Love Island 6 days a week and fucking 7 if you want to do unseen bits as well. I'm just going to
How
put a pin
dare
in that.
you?
I'm going to put
How
a pin in that and remind you. I'm still longing back to The Bachelor. I lament the fact that I was slating it at the last time. I think the
know.
last one we did was The Bachelorette, but it's like, what was it,
Oh,
2 hours or something?
Katie won
But
it.
that
Yeah.
was it, wasn't it? You know, one
Yeah.
episode a week, one really long episode, but that was it. And you could sort of podcast on that. But
No.
yeah, it is a lot of watching, isn't it? I think the problem is the fatigue comes from not really being invested in the couples. I mean, rewind back a couple of weeks, we weren't really invested in Jeff and Reed because they were
No.
quite dull and there wasn't much to them at all. But they've bubbled up to the top just because all the other couples are crap. And so, because we can see there's absolutely nothing there, they're all just going to run off the edge of a cliff. It stops you being invested, you know, and you're not really, yeah, you'll get some drama, but it's not with any particular purpose. You know, there's no
Yeah.
stakes. So I think that's what's going to make, I think after this, we've probably got 2 weeks, haven't we? So we're up to 32, then it'll be 33 to 36, and then 37 to 40. So 2 weeks left. But that includes the reunions. So I think I'm ready for this season to be over. Let's put it that way.
And until Mr. Hypocrite here goes, Dave, Love Island
Yeah.
starts in June, 7 days a week.
It's
You're
usually
gonna love
around
it."
this time, actually, a few weeks
Yeah,
from
it
the
is.
end of a one season. Oh yeah, I fucking can't wait.
You fucking hate me. You hate me. And when you get that message about Love Island, have you seen the advert? And you're just like, fuck off. No,
Yeah.
I've not seen the advert. Leave me alone, Chris. But no, it's been good, mate. Anything else, Dave, before we go?
No, I mean, you say about the drag. I mean, I think that for me, the dinner parties are at the top. I think you were saying you like the commitment ceremonies more, but it's
Yeah.
whichever order you place those two, those are the
They are,
gold,
yeah.
aren't they? They're the top tier. But I felt with this week, it was more like the Jackie and Ryan show. They got a lot of screen time, and you know, I could almost feel the anxiety in my chest. You know, as it was getting worse and worse, and you know, the cameras turn up, and then they're trying to put on this show for everyone about how great they are, but they just can't fucking keep it together for 5 minutes, you know, before they're having a go at each other. So I quite enjoyed those episodes, even if it was riddling me with anxiety while I was watching them. I just wonder what are we going to see? I guess in the next week, are we going to see like the build up to the Final Vows? We must be about there, mustn't we?
We're close to it. And the
After
VT alluded.
Homestays?
Yeah, the VT alluded to that. I think Jackie's going to try and say stay when Ryan is well out. And that's what I'm saying, but they might
Yeah.
step in. We don't know yet, but it looked like it because everyone's shocked, aren't they? Which then you're like, I want to see next week's episode. So yeah, it does look like that. And I won't be surprised because she's that deluded. But yeah, it's got to lead up to it now. It's got to be. It's got to be. There's not many couples left. We're at that stage of just flight or fight, and we're like, just go for it sort of thing. Let's just get it out the fucking way.
Yeah.
And have the reunion. The reunions are good. The reunions are good.
Yeah, I
Other than
can't
that,
wait to the reunion, to be honest. Like, let's get out of there. Some of them might opt to stay together. I could see something like, yeah, I don't know, Jackie and Ryan saying they'll stay, and but just literally forced, gang pressed into,
yeah.
saying that we'll stay for the show and for the ending, and then they won't make it past. They certainly won't make it to the reunion. But yeah, Dave and Jamie, again, they're another one that I think, okay, they might for the show say they're going to stick together. But yeah, it's literally Jeff and Ree. And even, I wouldn't be confident predicting that they'll make the reunion, to be honest. But it seems to be going okay right now.
I'm with you. I don't think anybody will be together in the reunion, but we'll go with Ree and Jeff just because we have to. No, so thank you, mate. Great stuff. And what we've alluded to a couple of times in the episode is this is the second time we've recorded this episode today, Dave, isn't it?
Yep.
Because we've had the gremlins. So when Dave's wonderful cat Salem was on his shoulder, lovely name, that happened earlier. And if only the recording had kept, we could have had the continuity in there because Salem was ready to take you out there, Dave. But brilliant. Brilliant
He's having
stuff.
a little sleep now. He's finished terrorizing me.
That's great. That was proper classic. That he just was creeping as if to say, "I've got you now."
Yeah.
Yeah, you're moving. Oh, well, thanks a lot, mate. And thanks everyone for listening. We do appreciate it. If you want to email us, cdrealitycast@gmail.com. We find us on social media @cdrealitycast. If you do want to support us, please get over to patreon.com/cdrealitycast. And as always, now that we are on YouTube, it's the same as all the social media, as I said earlier, @cdrealitycast on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, turn the bell on. Not the bell end, turn the bell on for notifications. And we'll keep doing this for as long as we can. It's still in the experimental stages, but I am enjoying doing it, other than when we lose the whole episode, Dave.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I have enjoyed doing it and editing it, and we're getting better and the improvements are there. And obviously each week these things are slightly being tweaked and everything. So we do appreciate all the feedback and the comments. The situation with Paul this week was an interesting comment, and it feeds off it, and we're having discussions like we do on the Facebook. So keep them coming, guys. And as always, go to Facebook, Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast, and come and join us over there. So the roll call of honour, and a big thank you to Holly, Darren, Anna, Tilly, Marcy, Stacey, Sinead, Kathleen Sims, Nick, Danielle, Kim, Amanda, Larissa, Nicole, Gillian, Keith, Helen, Chloe, Joanna, Libby, Susan, Lauren, Lucky the Green, and Kent Gustafson. So thank you so much, guys. As always, great episode, and we live to watch more reality TV, Dave. Marvellous.
Absolutely. So thank you very much, sir. Thanks to all our viewers. Thanks to all our supporters. Thanks to all our listeners. I will speak to you next time.
Bye.